What up, what up, what up, what up? All right, Chad, give me 1 sec. We're just gonna chill for about maybe an hour. I just wanna, what the fuck was I gonna do? Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Make sure we live. Make sure we live. Okay, we good. All right, we're gonna chill. We're gonna watch this, right? We're gonna smoke.
This is the first. I think this is a first for me to host and co-host a show with a friend here. I don't think we've done it. We have you're the first. He's popping my cherry right now. Oh my
I'm honored.
gosh.
I'm honored.
Yeah, that's fun to have somebody in studio like that. That's a big kick. Yeah, that's fun. So Juanito,
Turn this shit off
I've
a sec.
had obviously, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this because I wanted to see what you had to say about it. I don't know if you watched the Alex Jones interview that I did, or if anyone told you about it.
Smoke a
Were you
joint.
able to catch it at all?
I'm smoking on
I
some grape
haven't had
cookies,
a
chat.
chance to
Oh, let
take
me
a look
mute.
yet.
While I'm
I
not talking, I'm gonna
apologize.
mute
I would
because that
like
way
to
you don't
see
hear
it.
a double.
Of course, Alex has his new book out, Mike that, and Alex has been around for a long time. A lot of people got their first introduction to this alternative media through Alex in a lot of ways. So, Bannon's over there now doing stuff. You got, he's stuck around long enough and been at it long enough that,
Oh yeah, in
he's.
chat. I was also talking with one of the homies last night. One of the old 420 Fam homies. You know what I'm saying? We might start doing some shit again, just chilling every now and then. I'm just gonna leave it there though, cause I don't know what's really gonna happen. So, but let's watch this.
He's got his place in the history books. So, um, he's earned it. He's worked hard for it. So I have a lot of respect for the work that he's done. So, I had David Snedeker on. I don't know if you're familiar with David, but I had him on. He kind of wanted to come on after the Alex Jones show and give Q proof, in which
Mm-hmm.
he kind of dissected the post and walked us through some of the posts, and just went through that process of how to research and cross reference posts and stuff like that. And I'll just get your thoughts on this. Alex said a few things, saying first of all, number one, he knows who Q is. Number two, that there are three guys in the White House that are no longer there, and he says that he said a few things actually to me that I kind of felt, you know, could mislead. Either he's sincere about it, he could be very sincere, I don't know, or I think it was he was kind of muddying the water. I don't know how to take it, to be honest with you. I disagree with him, but by him saying that he knows who Q is, he's had dinner with them, and that there's three people within the White House. What do you have to say about that? I know who he says he thinks Q is, and all the other stuff, and the misinformation there, and um, it's he's wrong, uh, and there's a lot of uh, BS around that subject matter that you know give it time, we'll get to the bottom of it, and people see it in a particular way. Even those that may disagree now, some of that's not even going to be clear with what's about to happen here in the next few weeks. I think you're probably realistically, uh, people will be talking about this for a very long time, but you're probably realistically a year to a year and a half out, understanding more fully what's going on there. The dust is going to have to settle quite a bit. And so, even with the things that are about to happen that are just weeks away now, in my opinion, it's not going to be completely clear. But hey, by the way, Trump just the other day wore a Q,
Yeah, I did. I was
lapel pin. Okay, so you want to get into that a bit as far as how credible is it and things like that. Excuse me. Um, First off, I was one that coined the term team, and pushed it very hard early on because there was this everybody's looking for Q, looking for Q, looking for Q. It's a team. And then it refers to, even in the posts, um, particular details, particular information. It wasn't an individual ever that was putting that together or writing it. That was a, uh, you know, computer AI assisted, not because it was being written by computer, but because the computer was being used to make sure that you got timing correct and that subject matter overlaid over time correctly so that it showed kind of a greater um, consciousness, etc., clarity. So this is my buddy here, the Banty.
Well, he also said, that he believed Alex Jones said that he believes Trump is pig-headed and ran for president off the ego. He was not invited to run for president by a higher military operation, and he said that he has ice in his veins. He's just very cold. Basically, saying he's cold-hearted, all ego, and pig-headed. Basically, is what Alex
Look,
said on the
again,
show.
let me be clear. I have a lot of respect for Alex. His understanding, viewpoint, the crowd he runs with, etc. He's earned his place. So, uh, he's got a particular viewpoint. Okay, he's got his book out. That's great. And I think people, it's not like he doesn't have something useful or important to say. He does, but really smart guys still disagree on things, and you have the conversation. I've got plenty of friends that we see the world greatly differently, and yet we're still friends, respect each other. I had dinner the other night with someone who's really one of the great um, rocket scientists, computer scientists on the planet. Fantastic guy, super friend, but he's as liberal.
Oh yeah, in chat. So like I was saying, me and the homie we was chatting it up. I haven't talked to this dude in like, bruh, how old am I now? I haven't talked to this dude in like 5 to 7 years at least. And then last night we was just chatting it up for a bit, smoking, and we was like, yo, we should probably come live every now and then and just chill. And not only that, but the homie he games too. So you know what I'm saying? We might do some Rumbleverse later tonight. He also does VR, so we were thinking about doing some VR chat possibly eventually. Cause I mean, I could connect to my VR. I haven't touched my VR in like a month, chat. Um, at least. So I would have to use my actual PC rig instead of using my virtual desktop because I don't have my, my shadow PC because I don't have my virtual desktop set up on my shadow right now. So I will have to actually use my real rig. But eventually we'll get back into the VR. I just, bro, because once you get into VR, it's like you're stuck, literally.
As it gets, thinks Biden's just the greatest thing since cream cheese. So
what are we gonna do with those people, man, when the shit hits the fan? Like,
yeah.
are they just like?
But yeah, we were talking about before we get into this video hard. We were talking about doing some Rumbleverse. He never played it before, so I would have to teach him some of the Rumbleverse technique and shit like that. I've never played duos mode on that game either, so that would be kind of fun, I guess. It would give me a chance to get even better. You know what I'm saying? Because I would be at some points fighting against two or more people at a time. But yeah, let's watch this shit, chat, and then we'll talk more.
We don't have to do anything with them. Look, they're still Americans. They're still, these are people that are not scum of the earth or something like that. They have a different viewpoint. We're still all Americans. In the case of,
I don't know. I mean, I would like to send them off to China, in my opinion. But okay.
I think a lot of they are Americans, but you got to realize that they have been brainwashed in a system for the last 40 years that has bred them, that is essentially bred Americanism out of them. So,
well, no, let me just say, in this particular person's case, they came up through the university system. They served, did military service, uh, not simple military service. It was a fairly risky, dangerous type of service. Came back, had military scientific work that they did inside both the DARPA system and other developmental projects.
And chat, right now we're watching basically, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Q. If you've watched some of the mainstream media, they make it off to be like we're crazy conspiracy theorists, and it's not no conspiracy though. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are watching, not mainstream media, but you actually do your own research and you look online and you see what's going on in the world, a lot of this shit has been confirmed. A lot of the shit that they have said is gonna happen has been happening, and I mean, with Trump wearing the Q thing a couple days ago at one of his rallies, that says a lot. And that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Am I crazy? Stay tuned and find out. I guess we're gonna find out real soon. Storm is coming.
So they have an earned right to see things the way they do, because this particular person has an earned right to. They've run in the right circles. They've got the right clearances. They're not riffraff. But that said, they have a perspective that is somewhat maybe isolated over time, that working towards their retirement all those years, uh, just retired, um, and very happy with their retirement. I would have to say that there's a certain amount of concern on their part that anything that would jostle things, including for the spouse, anything that would jostle things, they don't want to hear it. They're somewhat closed-minded.
Juan,
yeah.
can I ask you a question for clarity? Because
Yeah.
what I was talking about was just normal everyday citizens. Are you talking about specific people in government?
This was somebody that had a career where all of their life, they, after the university system, they were in government jobs, but not as like an elected representative or something like that, but as in the science research projects and like that. So I mean, they always had a government check, but they could have gone into the private sector. They didn't, because that wasn't where they were at. But they have a perspective that is cooked. All the people, and in fact, the wife was in government service too, which is kind of frequent for people in these kind of realms because of where you live and stuff like that. But everybody there around, all the contracts that went for projects they were on, they have a particular perspective. And so I would have to say, even what I said with them talking with them, I said, well, but your perspective is kind of cooked because of who you're around, who you're hearing, what you're hearing, the way it's presented to you. You have, and they're even in the military system. People think that in the military system, they're probably all Republicans because, it's bombs and guns and war and whatever. And there's a kind of perspective, but they were, they're totally Democrats. They'll take the money when it comes in a Republican administration, but they're really very liberal in the military. And most of the people that I come across, um, their politics is very liberal, even though they're in the services. And I think that's become more so. And so they're very um, they don't see, for example, the military doing anything wonky related, say, to the elections or like that. Even though they've been in the right position to kind of know unusual stuff, they just don't see things like I talk about within, conversations I've had even publicly here just recently. They just do not see it.
Juanito, I have the article here. It's Associated Press, okay? And it says Trump openly embraces, amplifies QAnon conspiracy theories. After winking at QAnon for years, Donald Trump is overtly embracing the baseless conspiracy theory. They had to put that in there, obviously. Even as the number of frightening real world events linked to it grows. On Tuesday, using his Truth Social platform, the Republican former president reposted an image of himself wearing a Q lapel pin overlaid with the words, "The storm is coming." In QAnon lore, the storm refers to Trump's final victory when supposedly he will regain power and his opponents will be tried and potentially executed on live television. So they're obviously really making this look like it's a complete, like he's a
Brett, I would love to see some live executions on TV.
Hold on.
Kill them all. Kill them all. Fuck every last one of them demons.
A liberal media interpretation that's intentionally juicing up things,
Agreed.
saying things in a very gaslit way, in order that anybody that would read that would come to the conclusion that if you're paying attention to that, you've got to come from the land of kooks and nuts and shit for brains. Okay. That is not an accurate portrayal. There has been certainly a component.
Yeah, but it would be nice, Juanito. And I think he's just saying this just to like sweep things under the rug a little bit. We're not gonna take it easy on these fucking demons. Like, wait till you guys find out what they've done. What they've done, crimes to humanity, crimes against children. Just wait. If you've watched me for a while and y'all heard me on my rants before, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna get into it right now. But yeah.
The community that has talked about a lot of these things and put a particular perspective on. But when you go back and you actually look at what's there, it's very rational, reasoned, precise. Yes, there is some rah and get the troops going stuff in there. Wave the flag. There is Christian, church, God and country themes all through it. That's true, but it's not. I even saw stuff where it was they were trying to portray some of the people within the Q movement or this alternative government conversation that we're having in some of these communities as being a Christian nationalist fervor flavor type thing. Now that's a problem because that goes back into the militias and even into the racist nationalist organizations, which is not at all what the Q operation, Q team posts are about. They would like to portray, as soon as they get into the Christian nationalism, going back into, say, Ku Klux Klan or into some of these supremacist groups. They would like to portray people within the Q operation or following some of that stuff as solely being almost like a cult, maybe not even almost, in fact, a cult that is somehow nefarious because they are cultish. I don't think those are accurate portrayals at all, and it's a problem. Now, for example, I spoke last year and had friends speak at the God and Country presentation out in Las Vegas, and the reason I did that was because it had Q in the name, and Caesars casino had already agreed to have the conference there. Didn't have any association with it, but all of a sudden, because local newspapers went on the attack and said similar nefarious, really monstrous things about the whole Q subject matter, and then you had other people that were speakers there suddenly bow out. They canceled the venue. They couldn't speak, and it was an attack on the Q theme. And I stepped in and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! We can't. No, not that's not happening." So assisted the people that were putting it on, who I hadn't dealt with ever before. Previous to that, had a little bit of a conversation. Said, "Well, let's see what we can do." Friends got them into a different venue, and they went ahead with their conference. I spoke there, brought in somebody else, and a couple other people. Had a beautiful conference, and kept the kids from getting hurt, damaged financially, as was going to happen. Because you, in my opinion, you could not allow that they could shut us down on the Q theme stuff and get away with it. And got attacked a bit on it. I don't care. It was a low point. It was probably the lowest point in the whole conversation, nationally and internationally, related to the Q subject matter, because Trump wasn't in office, and it looked like we'd been completely defeated, and it was all being walked back. It was a LARP of some sort, etc. In this intervening period, the subject has continued to be percolating in the background, but has not been disproven and has not been, at the end of the day, damaged. What's really occurred is the American people have diligently continued to march through the election data, the information about the election, even with the attacks from the January 6th committee on the subject matter of the elections, which was the whole point. And that committee opened its investigation, saying the purpose of the committee was to bring criminal charges, to indict President Trump for leading a conspiracy, inciting an insurrection in the country, trying to overturn the elected government of the United States, the elected government being the Biden administration and others, with election denial and, on whether or not the election had problems with it in 2020. Trump wasn't saying that much other than asking the questions. Now he's come out just in the last 2 weeks very decisively and said, I won the election. It was stolen. Put me in the presidency now, which in their viewpoint would be overthrow the current government of the United States. So he has given Congress the legal material that they need or needed or believed they needed in order to indict or charge President Trump with leading an insurrection, saying, put me in the presidency now, I won. Wow. And then trying to get people to back him up on that. By the way that they have been operating at the January 6th committee, gave them everything they need to arrest or charge President Trump with inciting an insurrection. Then he said, in addition to that, he said, if you won't put me in the presidency immediately, because I won, put me on the 2022 ballot. He's challenging, that he should be on the ballot right now. There's time before the election. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
The reasoning that he's doing this and taunting them?
That's precisely the point. You have to think about what's going on here. President Trump, and I've said it to other audiences, but I'll take a moment and say it again, because somebody even last night said, I heard you say it a couple of times, and then all of a sudden it clicked. They got it. They didn't quite hear what I was saying the first couple of times. President Trump is doing what the bullfighter does in Spanish type bullfighting. In Spanish type bullfighting, there's 3 sections to the bullfight. The first section, you see matador and the toreadors and the picadors and the various players in this spectacle come out, and they're paraded around and the bulls let in, and you see the bull in there. When a bull comes into a bullfight, its head is high, its horns are high and back, and they prance around. The prancing bull, which is what Lamborghini is their symbology on the Lamborghini car, the prancing bull. And, these are bulls that are bred just for the bullfight, and they're kept away from human contact. The families take pride in raising the most vicious, powerful bulls, and so a lot of times the family colors will be on bulls that are in the bullfight. And in these stadiums, the people in the stadium, they all show up. They've got their handkerchiefs, and they'll be waving their handkerchiefs. The colors that the bullfighter wears, or the cape, the red. The reason the cape that the bullfighter uses is red is because if it gets blood on it from draping over the bull, you don't see the blood. It's less offensive or something. And this is all kind of loosely based on the second oldest stone writing tablets that have ever been discovered, which show this tale of Gilgamesh, which was the bull of heaven, which fell to earth. And this bull would rampage villages and tear everything apart, crops and everything else. And so this god man, Gilgamesh, took on the bull of heaven, and with the help of an assistant, weakened the bull until he was able to kill it. And so what happens in the bullfight? The bull comes in very proud, very powerful, very strong. The picadors will put hooks and small spears into the back and shoulders and neck area of the bull to weaken it, because the bull weighs 10 times what the matador weighs, and the muscular power is just off the charts. If a bull gets you with its head or one of its hind legs, it can kick the matador, to a different zip code.
They weaken it.
So,
they weaken its neck.
They're weakening the neck of the bull. And so what happens is, as you get into the latter part, the bullfight in Spanish bullfighting is 3 rounds. And in the third round, the final round, that's 15 minutes total time, and that's it. In the third round, the matador is out on the field, and he will his whole job during that latter round is to quickly wear the bull out. The bull, it's a very big animal. They don't run marathons. They run small charges, and they wear out very quickly. By the way, you get bulls and they mate. It's 30 seconds, and then they're out like a trout. You
Sounds
can
like
tell
me.
they're done.
No,
So a lot of the girls out there are sitting there going, "Yep, that's him." But
Juan, can I?
they mate, they're all done. It's over. Done, gone. So anyway, it's kind of funny. But anyway, I have stories on that.
Juan, can I ask a question about the potential future arrest of Trump?
Well, hold on. Let me finish
okay.
this story, because it gets to that, and then you ask me a question. So the deal is, in the third round, it's 15 minutes. If you haven't killed the bull, if you haven't made the fatal kill shot within 10 minutes, the governor of the fight that's presiding over it, each round of the bullfight is preceded by a trumpet, a horn blast. And in this third section, if you haven't defeated the bull within 10 minutes, then the trumpet sounds. Now, the reason for that is because the bull, and bulls that survive the fight, survive the full 15 minutes, they'll oftentimes be kept and preserved and bred because they were so tough they survived. Or if they take out the matador or something like that, they want to bring them back they can't bring the same bull back because they learn, and they're even more dangerous if they're brought back from the first bullfight. But the deal is that the matador has to wear the bull down. And the way he does that is to get the bull to charge. And the bull's getting more and more tired. He's been weakened in his shoulder muscles. Think of the deep state. All of this intervening time since Trump came into office, and then since he's left office, we've been learning and understanding and growing in understanding of how this cabal, this crowd, these families have been working behind the scenes, including how they have cooked the elections. And this intervening time, even from the 2020 election till now, even the reason why Trump didn't sign the Insurrection Act till now, when they asked him to back in December 18th, when the reason that he didn't do that is because we needed the facts. We had a broad understanding that in a generic sense, something wasn't right with the election, but we couldn't back it up with the facts. We now have the facts. People saying, well, where's your facts? Where's your facts? We got so many different facts from so many different directions. We even have video and audio of the players talking about shutting down the vote 2 months before the 2020 election in their Zoom calls together. We have them talking about shutting down the vote at 2:30 in the morning on November 4th, 2020, so they could get the count right and then restart it again. We've got the conspiracy. We got them. But you haven't been able to get to justice in the Justice Department. But the deep state is being weakened by the day. We had filing yesterday on a writ of mandamus up in Ohio. Fantastic thing. The gal says behind that. We have stuff going on right now in multiple other states with filings related to the primaries and challenging them. As we get into the general, we now know enough that they're not going to get very far into the early vote before they get numerous more court challenges. And the Biden administration signed an executive order, has been dealing with a bunch of, the usual suspects, leftist groups on how to conduct the 2022 election, even created an entire new division of the United States Post Office just to handle mail-in ballots at a time when we have states coming in and saying that mail-in ballots are not constitutional, except in very limited cases. And so, how are they going to do that? What circumstances could be going on in America that suddenly they decide all of a sudden at the last second that mail-in ballots
has to happen, obviously, before the midterms to where they can do that again, where they can use.
Well, and so let me just finish this real quick and then talk. So they're going to probably, it appears, try to stop the 2022 vote somewhere after the vote is started, but it appears they're going to try to claim that in certain cities, it won't be all over the whole country, but in some places, some voters are being disenfranchised for whatever reason. People are, monitoring the vote too closely. There's too many legal challenges.
Juan, I would make you a bet I bet you anything. When Biden came out and labeled all MAGA people extremists, what they're going to do is have false flags of intimidation of Trump's so-called Trump supporters, intimidating voters, false flag attacks, maybe a shooting here and there, and blame it on Trump supporters. And then that's where that's going to take off from there. What do you think?
Well, it could be multiple things. And I don't think that we can say it's just any one thing. We know that when they were looking at the shutting the ballot counting down on November 4th, after the main election day of the 3rd, that at that time, over 2 months before the election, they were looking at multiple options, even for January 6th, not just the vote, but the day that Congress would then certify the vote. They had multiple ways, 4 different ways that they would play that in order to make sure they maintain power. And so there's probably options dialed in, and it's not just one. So the question will be, which option are they going to play? Which option is going to be the response? There's all sorts of things dialed in. But now, with that in mind, let me just finish this other story real quick. In the bullfighting, if you picture this as the deep state is this bull of heaven, and it's on the field of play, and the matador's out there. The matador has to bait the bull to charge. The bull's tired. In the early round, at the very beginning, its head is up high, it's strong, but it has been weakened by the picadors who have been picking away at things. We've been picking away at the way that the vote is conducted, the vote frauds, the manipulation, the cheating. We're learning so much more. The 2,000 mules, everything. So they're in a weakened state, but they're far from down and out. As the bull gets further in the fight, its neck muscles and its shoulder muscles are weakened. In order to get the kill shot into the bull in bullfighting, they have to become weakened enough that the shoulder blades begin to spread. The head goes down, and when you see a bullfight, a bull later in the bullfight, they're pawing with their hoofs and they're snorting heavily. You'll see it in the cartoons, you'll see it in the pictures, and their head is down low because they've been weakened that far. And oftentimes the bullfighter will even get down on bended knee right in front of the bull and stare it right in the eyes. Now, the reason they're doing that is because the fight or flight in an animal that's very wild, when you stare a wild animal in the eyes, that's, fight or flight. They want to fight right now, especially something that in its way of being bred, its toughness, those instincts kick in even beyond the tiredness, and the adrenaline gets flowing. So the bullfighter has to taunt the bull, both with the cape and with his actions. And he gets right down into the face of the bull. And the trick is to keep the bull moving, wearing itself down. You're playing the bull. You're using its own strength against it because it only has so many charges. It's not a marathon runner. It does bursts and then it's exhausted. And you'll see the bull moving around the ring trying to size up the matador and figure out how he's going to get him. And the matador baits him in there with the cape, standing right there. And at the last second, using the magic, using the sleight of hand, and the fact that the matador has a skin suit that's very tight to him. It's called a suit of lights. And he's baiting it in. And all this time in the stadium and the crowd around, every time the bull charges, that matador could get caught, could get thrown in the air, could get in the wrong place the wrong way. And so they're waving their handkerchiefs, cheering. And if the matador is not a good matador, they'll start cheering for the bull.
100%. I've been to many bullfights in Juarez and Ciudad Juarez. My dad used to take me there. I've gone to probably over 50 of them. And I got to say, have you gone to bullfights, Juan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then I was like, how does this guy know? I was like, wow. All right.
Well, so the end of the story is this. We're at that stage where we're in the last round of the bullfight, and of this stage of the bullfight. A lot of times you have multiple bullfights in a day, and in this particular bullfight, the matador Trump is baiting them. He's taunting this deep state cabal. Come on, come get me. The 2020 put me in the presidency. I won. The 2022 put me on the ballot. I dare you. If you're not going to do either of those, charge me. Charge me with leading a national insurrection. Charge me, charge me, charge me. He's giving them all the evidence they need to charge him.
He's letting them,
and he's baiting him in. He's sucking them in. To everybody in the stands, nationally and internationally, it looks like he's, lost his mind even. He's down there on the field of play. The bull is actually, though, still very dangerous. It's weakened, many times more powerful than him. But he has the advantage of the cape. The cape in this case is the MAGA movement. He's raving the red cape in front of him. And the Q operations, he's waving that in front of him. We know who you are. We know what you're all about. We know what your plan is. And we've been very upfront. Everybody can see what's going on. The Q operation ultimately has been about letting everybody in the stands know what's going on, but baiting these guys. We're Americans. We're mega. We're not putting up with this shit anymore. We understand what it's all about. Everybody that comes to the bullfight knows that ultimately, most of the time, the bull is going to be dead. And then they take the bull out and you have a nice dinner later in the day. You go have a great dinner. What's going to happen here? If you don't get the bull dead within 10 minutes, you get the horn. And if the bull isn't fighting hard enough because you're not being taunting enough with them, then you're a lousy bullfighter.
So right now we are in the standoff then. Like right now he's kneeling down, staring at the bull right in the eyes.
Right in the eyes, taunting them, trying to get another charge out of them with the last of their strength, a big charge.
So they got to know this and they got to be backing off. It's smart for them to back off, right? At least for
because remember, hidden behind the cape in this one final last run or two, the bullfighter's fighting for position to get the right angle to run the final kill shot sword down between the shoulder blades into the heart and to cut the aorta of the heart and kill the bull. But the shoulder blades have to be widened out enough. The neck has to be low enough. The bull has to be in the right position. He might have to get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 charges out of the bull to get just the right position. And if you don't get the kill shot in just right, you really got problems. Because that bull is going to get another shot of adrenaline and you might not get that best shot again the next time. The bulls learn as they're in the fight what you're trying to do somewhat. And so getting in there and getting a clean shot is a big deal. It's not as easy. A lot of that stuff, just like you going in the ring, Nino, it looks easier than it is. And part of the thing too, by the way, with this crowd, you have to picture, we're ultimately going up against some very evil people. If you go into the Q operations and what they're talking about there, you're really looking at an extension of the Baal Moloch worshipers back in the Old Testament. And in the Baal Moloch worshipers, the greatest contest in the biblical narrative was Elijah. Elijah had declared a drought. And by the way, America's in a drought right now, a huge drought, national drought, very similar to the biblical times with Elijah. These super high temperatures across the country. And so in the Elijah narrative, he challenges, after 3.5 years of drought, he challenges these worshipers of Baal and Moloch to a duel. He says, you build an altar, I'll build an altar up on top of the mountain, and we'll ask our gods. You guys ask Baal, and I'll ask the God in heaven, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to send a lightning bolt down fire and take the offering, and we'll see who's more powerful. And he didn't do the challenge at, say, where the church is strong, where the Jewish community was strong, down at the temple down in town. He has them do it right on top of the hill where they're strongest, where their idols at the gates of hell, if you will. That's where they would sacrifice their children in order to have health, wealth, favor, whatever with the gods. That's what Baal worship was all about, was sacrificing children in order to have wealth. So he challenges them, because God's upset with them because of the way that they're doing stuff, challenges them on their strength, on their home team turf, to this huge battle. And the priests of Baal, you can just see this day when it arrives. They're walking up the hill, their heads are high, they're all smart, they've got all their flowery garments on. And I can just tell you, because it's the type of crowd that we're dealing with here, they had pyrotechnics hidden in their altar. They had a secret way they were going to light that sucker off. And because they were accusing Elijah later of having some secret way of lighting his off. So if they're accusing Elijah of it, they had it. They just didn't get theirs lit off, whatever. Something didn't work right. They were pissed off. They were up there, and Elijah said, "You guys go first." And you can just picture these guys. As soon as they get the fires going and everything else, they're going to throw Elijah and all of his crew on the fire. They're going to kill him because this was a fight to the death. Whose God is the real God? The families that are there, the whole community is there on the mountainside watching this spectacle, because these are all people that have been offering their kids to these idols, to Baal and Moloch, and because these guys are the smart ones and they're protecting them, so they got skin in the game, and it's kind of a bullfight type of thing. All these Baal and Moloch worshipers, they come up there, they're proud, they're haughty, their heads high, all day. They're wailing and yelling and screaming, and they're cutting themselves, and they're, pouring their blood on the altar and everything else. Nothing happens. And Elijah's taunting them the whole time. He's saying, "Oh gosh, is your God asleep still? Oh, let's see, what time is it? Gee, maybe he's not up yet. Call his phone again, see if he's up yet. Maybe he's busy with his, one of his wives. He's still screwing around and he's preoccupied, and you guys aren't quite getting his attention." And they cut themselves more, they bleed more. They're getting more and more tired. Finally, as the heat of the day is on full strength and you're into the afternoon, Elijah says, okay, take a break. Let's go ahead and do mine. And he said, and they're accusing him that he's going to have some kind of pyrotechnics in there. He's going to light it off, and he's got a sneaky thing. Okay. Throw some water on it. They're in a drought. There's no water. They're at the top of the hill. So he sends all their guys down to get water, because they're the ones that don't want this thing to light off. Okay, go get some water. So the Baal worshipers, they all go grab water. They bring it up. They throw it on Elijah's offering thing, just to wet it down. He goes over, looks at it. Yeah, it's still a little dry. This wood's been pretty dry for a long time. So why don't we get some more water? You guys go get it. So they go get more water. 7 times they douse the fire, this fire pit, with water, till there's a pool of water in the bottom, everything else. Okay, yeah, that's dry enough. That's wet enough. And then by then, all those Baal Moloch worshipers, their heads are getting tired. They're exhausted from running down the hill to get more water, to make sure that Elijah's fire doesn't go off. And they've been cutting themselves all day. They've been out in the heat. They're sweating to death. They're dehydrated because it's already a drought. Nobody's drinking that much because it's in the middle of drought. So, like the bull, their head down, exhausted, doing all this, Elijah says a simple prayer, and a lightning bolt comes down, consumes the whole altar. Now the crowd is the key, because once God acts and he takes the offering, it's clear the people realize, oh my God, I've been following these shit for brains and not the real God, even to the point of sacrificing their children, the screams of their own children in their own ears, because they had offered their children over to Baal and Moloch. And so the people turned on the Baal and Moloch worshipers and the priests, and killed them all, every one of them. And
Juan, can I ask? You a while back, you talked about what the percentage of the people that were needed, of Americans, to be awake. That we needed 80%. Where are we in that number?
Well,
best guess, obviously.
We're very close. I did hear a number the other day, but you have to understand, it can't be a transient number. You're in a mercurial situation where it's just like one bad pass by the matador, and all of a sudden people start cheering for the bull again. Okay. If the bull gets one good strike in, you could be doing great right up until the bull got you with his horn and tears your femoral artery out. Okay. They actually have medical teams there at the facility to save the matador if he gets gored or hit right, trampled on. Some of the greatest matadors in history fought one fight too many and got killed. And so it's not over till it's over. And so even though we're close only counts in horseshoes, smooching. You gotta nail it, and you've got to have solidity in those numbers. I believe these next several weeks are about exposing and understanding what's really been going on here, including over at Congress. That's the show. A 25th Amendment operation, somewhere, starting the second week of October or so.
Owen, can I ask a question? Where
Sure.
does the rail strike, the potential rail strike on the 17th, fit into some of this?
Well, of course, they've supposedly got an agreement. The problem is, and it's a very good agreement, 25% raise, 14% immediately, and the rest over the following 3 years. But interest rates. The Fed next week is looking at an interest rate increase. The advised rate increase is, I think, 720 basis points or three quarters, just shy of three quarters of a point. I think that they'll do a half a point because we're coming up on the election and do a larger increase afterwards. But there's a very good school of thought, and I don't disagree with it at all, that they're going to try and get ahead of stuff and do a full basis point interest rate increase. If they do that, that's going to be seen by the rail workers, and they may not ratify this agreement, because a full basis point rate increase in interest rates means that inflation is back heavily, and this big, salary increase may not be quite adequate.
Right.
In which case, you could be right back in there with the strike. Does anybody know exactly what's going on? By the way, who's counting the vote?
Sure. Well,
because we had out in California when we had the GOP doing its count out there for the Republican state Republican Party. We caught some mischief that happened there, and then they claimed the records were destroyed and they couldn't reconcile them because we caught them. In talking with the guys running the vote, we find out they're doing stuff for unions and for listed corporations in the stock market, and they're doing the voting. Well, how in the world did they get some of these weird things in the vote? Well, because the same guys that are running the votes that were cooking it there for the GOP are running the stuff for other groups, and they're cooking the vote those places. If somebody wants a problem, whoever's doing the vote count over at the union could easily engineer stuff there too. This is what this whole thing is about. So,
well, Stalin said it best.
What's going to happen there?
Stalin said it best. It doesn't matter who votes; doesn't count. It's who counts the votes.
That's right.
Right.
So, Juanito, let me ask you one last question, because we got to get rolling. We can go eat some dinner. What does it mean to you that and I think it's very obvious when Trump is now publicly coming out wearing a Q pin lapel and endorsing it? I mean, to me, that's like, we are close. We are so close. And him saying the storm is coming. I mean, we are, what do you say, weeks away, Juanito?
Oh, yeah. Well, let me say this, Nino. I've said it on other shows. I personally, and I have to hedge what I'm saying this way. I'm not in the 4 a.m. meeting. I wasn't included in any of the special meetings and secret handshakes and whatever, in all the classifications. This is an educated guess on my part. I'm making an educated guess based on all my, prior exposure to some of these things, understanding how these groups kind of think, the timing and everything else. So I'm making a pure guess. But, and anybody listening, you've got to own whatever decisions you make. You can hear what Alex Jones said. You can hear what I say. You can listen to the other guests. That's the beauty and the importance of what you're doing and the way you're doing it, Nino. You're listening to multiple people coming in, sharing what they understand, know, history, whatever. But your guests, they present that. Your audience has to make their own decision. Don't put it on a guru. Don't put it on anybody else. You make your own decisions based on the information that fits your personal situation. And the decision for somebody in Detroit versus the situation for somebody in North Dakota or down in Texas might be radically different because you have different resources, different context, different work situation, all sorts of things. And we're a big country. There's drama ahead, but it's probably not going to be everywhere. Everybody will be affected, but some places the drama is going to be far more intense. And even the decision, if there's not a vote on time, which I don't believe there's going to be on November 8th, if there's not a vote, it may just be a handful of cities, a dozen or a few more, that the problem is so intense that the whole nation has to stop.
I would say California is gonna be affected by it. New York, where I'm at, we're gonna get some of this dumb shit. Chicago's gonna get really, really bad. As a matter of fact, Chicago's about to become the purge, chat. Starting January 1st of this year or next year, I should say, you're gonna be able to do murder. What is it? Drug-induced murder. So if you are on drugs and you kill somebody, they can't charge you. Like, what the fuck, bruh? Like, it's a long ass. It's literally the purge in real life. Like, bruh.
Not getting a vote where everybody gets a fair shot at having the vote. Allegedly, we got to pause it for 30 days or something. Let the post office handle the mail in. Whatever the drama plan, secret thing that's in the executive order is. With all that in mind, Nino, my buddy Bill Cooper accurately predicted 9/11 as far as it being some type of an event involving aircraft, and it would be blamed on Osama bin Laden, based on other stuff that we knew happened previously, and he had an insight on. He did not get the date right. He never set a date publicly, although I know what the date was he thought it was going to be. He was off. He wasn't very far off, but he was off. It was within the same month as 9/11 happened. With that in mind, he was pretty accurate. We can see that something's about to happen. It's going to happen in the time period of the election, probably beforehand, not after the fact. When it does happen, both sides have a plan. But I love that saying with
Mike
Tyson. Everybody has a plan till they get hit in the nose.
Yeah, it's the truth.
Okay, both sides have a plan, and then once the fight's on, man, we'll see who's actually got their shit together, their wits together, etc. All that said, I know there's stuff in play, and I've had it from several sources. There's something in play for the 24th, 25th of September.
Chat, y'all heard it right here. The 24th. Get prepared. Get food. I would say pull your money out the bank. Something big is supposed to happen on the 24th in 4 days. The German Chancellor was on doing some shit. As a matter, I could show y'all. As a matter of fact, hold on. German Chancellor on September 24th. Here, let's see if we can find it real quick. Here we go, chat. Hold on. Is this it? Be ready. Here.
On the exact end day of the Shemitah, which is the exact end day of basically the Jewish year every 7 years, there's usually a major market collapse, and it's said to keep.
Here. Prepare. September 24th. Are they gonna show it? Oh, hold on. Oh, here we go, chat.
Wird uns allen als ein Tag im Gedächtnis bleiben, von dem wir später einmal sagen werden, ich weiß noch genau, wo ich war.
And basically he said we're all gonna remember where we were on that day. What that means, But yeah.
There's something in play, actually 23rd, 24th of September. And there's several different things with the Jewish calendar and other calendars that relate to that. There's something appears to be in play for October 8th that is possibly 25th Amendment related. There's something in play for the 23rd, 24th, which when you say two dates like that, that usually means evening into the following morning. For October 23rd, 24th, that may involve military. All of those are just set up. They're not the main event. And they might almost be trumpet calls for different stages of the event. The date that I think we go into some kind of a national shutdown, full stop, is October 29th. Now, I say that date, but is that the end of the world? Is it Armageddon? Is it the rapture? None of those things. It's
People
not
are gonna
the end
get
of the
really mad. You're
Well,
predicting.
no. You know what? Look, when you're doing scientific work, research, you have a hypothesis, but then you actually do the work and see what happens. And I've told you there's multiple plays that both sides can do. This is a chess game. In chess, the further you get into the game, the less potential moves there are, not more. The longer the game goes, the fewer potential moves. This is going to happen in a zone related to the election. The red flag gets thrown. I gave the NFL analogy that, you've got the red flags. We went past September 3rd, didn't get adequate preservation orders in place to handle this within the justice system. There is not going to be enough play with any successes inside the Justice Department, inside the justice system, back to the Supreme Court or anything else to reverse the outcome of the 2020 election. There's one option left, and that's military.
That's military.
That's it.
Let's go. Bring them in.
And so when you
Bring them in. We ready.
Right, and you can't wait until the vote is complete on November 8th. That's when the play is, the ball's been hiked. And it's over, 2020 is done, and you're on to the next thing. So within a hypothetical, looking at the
Oh, that's it. That's how it ended. Oh, he got cut off.
All right, folks, that's it.
I was like, what the fuck happened? Okay.
Well, thank you for joining Ninos.tv and with myself and Ron Martin. We'll see you out. We'll see you out of here, folks.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Food, so it was kind of okay that this happened. Right. Later.
All right. So, chat. Let's talk a little bit now. So, as y'all just heard, September 23rd, 24th, something could start off. So, I got to make sure I put all my money out the bank just in case some stupid shit happens. What else? Make sure y'all got food for at least a week. I don't know, man. Crazy. Crazy. But yeah, as y'all heard, yeah, man, shit's about to get real, chat. Shit is about to get real. Where is my package at, bro? Hold on, chat. Give me 1 second. Let me take a look here. Where is this shit at? Boom, turn that off a sec. Y'all ordered me a new pillow. And chat, I got me this 3-inch linen spa, 3-inch gel memory foam padding. Oh, chat, y'all don't understand. That shit is great. It's like sleeping on a cloud, brothers and sisters. Okay, so we got the one package gonna be here a little earlier than the other. Let's see. Okay, so they both out for delivery. What else can we do? Um, hmm, hmm. Nah, I don't know, Chet. I gotta get on Rumbleverse in a little while and see what's the new store shit they got. See if it's anything cool. See if it's anything cool. Maybe I should take a bong rip. Maybe. I gotta go get some clean water though. Oh, my boy's playing some Rumbleverse.
Alright, bro. I'm trying to survive.
Okay. Let me go get some water and I'm gonna let y'all watch this real quick while I do that. Hold up.
Yeah, actually. No, she climbed back up. Damn, watch this. Climb back up where? Oh, hold on, fellas. Got him. Watch out. That's in the water. Go in the water. Drop stuff in the water. Oh, I'm in the... Get out of here, bro. Get out of here with that. Who knocked me in the water? Was that you? I thought her super poppy knocked me that far.
Did you do it, Sean?
Oh, it's messed up.
No, I'm talking about trying spear in this shit.
Oh, if you got it.
Wait. Oh, now she's not fighting fair. She is not fighting fair.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. This thing. Bro, I thought she popped her super. That shit sent me that far in the water. I was so pissed.
Hey, please make this short. Please, please. Bro, I tried to stay her with the ultimate. And she rolled this shit.
Bro, I ain't never went flying that far back.
Bro, I did the same thing to her. But when I pushed her off, she like somehow did the recovery thing and like jumped back mid-slide coming off.
Well, I ain't getting no recovery.
Sometimes you know when you fall off the thing, you can just jump real quickly and you can grab the wall. That's what she did, bro. I almost had her off that. Boy, you gave me a good laugh, man. That's...
Yeah, Drew already got for you. You already know. Hitman, Rico, E. What's good, Zeus? Esco Gang and Barber, he follows.
How do you add the beta code in the shop?
Nah, as of right now, it's only solos and duos. They got a mid-season update coming out soon. So maybe they'll talk about it. Or maybe just wait until season 2 to add more playlists.
Sean, how do you add your beta code to
Oh, what's
what's in that?
good, bro?
I don't know. I was about to do this shit for Charlie.
It's only you. It's on the Betterment launcher.
Yeah, I was on there. I couldn't find it, but
Like on the right side somewhere.
it's all good. You know what? You're a good man. You're a problem one.
Bro, I don't understand how I land and I get, like, smashed. Like, I lose stamina from that. Like, well, how's that work?
I get mad about it. I'm gonna go crazy. Yeah, make him take the crate and ran it. Eyes in your face. This is a crazy game. I bet you it's unimportant. Go crazy.
Oh. All right, chat.
Somebody just now landed in.
Let me lower this. Like a stem cell. Cool. All right.
Somebody's getting diamond crust off this build. Never mind. There we go.
Oh, stunnered. Stunnered.
Oh, she went all the way over there. Dang.
This game is mad fun though.
Wait, why it happen so late? Come on.
Yeah, chat. I'm getting over a fucking a little cold I had, so I've been taking smaller hits so I don't fucking choke myself up and shit. At least I'm trying to do smaller hits. But y'all know me.
Oh, damn, bro. Alright, bet. I just got hit out of my super grab.
So did I.
Alright, y'all. Where's my lighter at?
Yo, come on, game.
Alright, cheers, y'all.
KO? Come on.
I can't get that book, man. Damn. Can't get no moves.
You on my book? Why?
You can't get no moves. You have a diamond crusher. Damn, that's a stingy ass nigga, man.
Warzone? No.
Alright, y'all. Let me get out of this.
The bug with y'all chat. Sean is not playing Warzone until Warzone 2 drops.
I was like, yeah.
Alright, chat. I'm gonna be back probably in a little while. I'm gonna let the homie hit me up and see what we do. I believe we're gonna do some Rumbleverse later, so if we do, I'll probably come live. Appreciate y'all hanging out. See y'all on the next one. Peace out, y'all. Boom.